What is up, my dudes? So we are going to tell you how to take your evidence tracker and the questions that you've chosen from this piece of paper. We're going to show you how to take all of this information and turn it into a thesis statement. Okay, so there are several steps. We're going to go slow and we're going to break it down for you. Okay, so first I chose my critical lens that I was the most interested in, and I picked the...
Let's go back to the entry document.
Oh, yeah,
first.
Entry document. Okay. So, it says we will read and critically analyze through a variety of lenses, which we have, including historical, biographical, Marxist, feminist, psychoanalytical. We will examine the author's use of literary devices such as symbolism and themes, participate in various discussions, and culminate our study by composing a literary analysis essays to synthesize these complex ideas. So what I did was I decided to analyze Harper Lee's symbolism and themes in this book. I was like, okay, I'm going to pay close attention to the themes that are in here and see what she's trying to tell me, because we know that a theme is like the central idea or the central message that the author is trying to get across to you through the novel.
And no matter which theory that you chose, everyone does that. Everybody's looking at these details and the themes and the symbols and the literary devices that an author uses. So it doesn't matter if you pick Marxist or feminist. Everybody's looking at the same things.
Right. So again, the first thing we did was we took a look at all four of these different literary theories. And from the get-go, I have been the most interested in the biographical literary theory. So some of the questions that it asks are, which of the author's stated beliefs are reflected in the work, and what seems to be the author's major concerns? So how would I know what the author is majorly concerned about? How would I know what the author believes? Well, I figure that out by looking in the novel and trying to figure out who the author paints in a good light and who the author paints in a bad light. So for example, the Yules are portrayed as trash, and it has said multiple times in the novel that the Yules are trash. So I can draw the conclusion that the author is trying to communicate with me about what she thinks trash is and what concerns she has about trashy people. So I can also draw the conclusion that children and black people are painted in a good light. She talks about black people as good people. They're clean people. They're hard workers. She talks about Dill and Jem and Scout. They have imaginations and they're funny. And Dill cries when the prosecutor cross-examines Tom Robinson and he's disrespectful to him. That causes Dill to cry. And they're like, only children cry. Only children are affected by this injustice because they're so innocent. So I can draw the conclusion that Harper Lee thinks that innocence in children and that the good qualities in black people are valuable to her, and she's trying to get this message across to me. So I took these two questions: which of the author's stated beliefs are reflected in the work, and what seems to be the author's major concerns, and I fused them together as two ingredients to bake a cookie that is all my own for my own personal essay. And I came up with this question: what type of people is Harper Lee encouraging us to admire? What type of people is Harper Lee encouraging us to admire? So this is going to be my personal driving question for my essay, and my thesis statement is going to be the answer to this question. Okay, so
as Ms. Lyles mentioned in your entry document, you are going to synthesize all of these complex ideas and write a literary analysis paper. So complex means these are challenging, difficult, deep topics, and you are doing complex analysis, meaning you're going below the surface level, and then synthesize, you're putting it all together and tying it up with a nice, neat little bow and making it look beautiful. So what we want you guys to do is move from just noticing that your theory is present in the novel and finding those connections and moving beyond just the what to the why should I care and how does this affect the novel. So we've got like the surface level what, and this is how your theory is present in the novel, how theory is present. So give me one of your questions again that you answered through.
One of my questions?
Yeah.
Okay. It is...
So like your guided, your analysis guide questions. Those are the 3 that are in your evidence tracker.
Which of the author's stated beliefs are reflected in the work?
Okay, so which of the beliefs are stated in the work?
Yeah.
So as you read, what...
Or reflected in the work.
Okay,
Actually.
reflected. So what beliefs did you find reflected in the work?
That killing innocent people is bad and treating Negroes wrong is bad.
Killing is bad.
Killing is bad. Being mean to Negroes and taking advantage of their ignorance is bad.
Taking advantage of anything, because we've got Mayella who's taken advantage of, we've got the black people, we've got the kids. Taking advantage is bad.
Yep.
Okay? These are just the what. We see this in the text. We need to move beyond what to, remember, the why should I give a crap.
Yep.
Okay? So why do we care about this? Why did you say that you cared about that? How did you move beyond the what to the why I care?
Basically, I think that Harper Lee wants me to know this because at the time when she wrote this novel, people were taking advantage of black people. They were taking advantage of children. They were hunting and using guns to intimidate people all the time. And so I think she wanted to put this message out there that taking advantage of vulnerable people is actually trashy. That what you think is trash is different than what Harper Lee thinks is trash. She is trying to tell you that trash is somebody that abuses or takes advantage of an innocent, kind, ignorant person. So it's significant because it changes the way I look at the world. It changes the way the readers look at the text, and they can put the book down and go out in the world and know that taking advantage of people is wrong, and that's truly trash.
So how does the what in the novel is affected by this killing is bad and taking advantage of is bad? Like, how do we see that play out in the novel? Not just that we notice that it's there, but how does it create conflict? How does it drive the plot? How does it affect the characters?
Well, first of all, Atticus refuses to carry a gun, and he refuses to fight anyone, not because he's too old, but because he's a gentleman and he believes that intimidating people and fighting people is ugly. And basically, Mayella is taken advantage of by her father, and she continues the vicious cycle with Tom Robinson, and that ends up costing him his life, and now his blood is on her hands. So when you make a victim out of someone, when you abuse someone, it creates a vicious cycle of perpetrators and victims. The victim becomes the perpetrator somewhere else. So Mr. Yule, when he abused Mayella and beat her up and probably molested her, it caused her to do that same thing to some other innocent person. So Harper Lee recognizes this and illustrates it in the novel in a way that we can understand, and it creates conflict in the novel in a way that we can apply it to real life.
Okay. So then we move from this to creating this driving question. We take all of these things that we notice and we come to a conclusion. You don't just stick with the, yes, it's there. You go beyond that to why should I care? What should I take away from this? What should other readers notice about this?
Okay, so I have come up with this driving question that I am going to spend my entire essay answering, okay? You don't ever need to put a question in your essay. This is just for you to put in your heart and to think about as you're writing your essay. Every sentence, every word in your essay needs to be a position on this question, an answer to this question. Okay, so our thesis statement is going to be the answer to this question. And remember, there's 3 parts to a thesis statement. T, P, S. All right, topic, position, supporting details. We know what it means. Okay, so I have to come up with a topic. So I'm talking about Harper Lee, right? What it's all about Harper Lee. What is she encouraging us to admire? Because I'm looking through the biographical lens for my essay. So Harper Lee, I'm going to start with my topic. Harper Lee utilizes, we all know what that means, hopefully, themes of innocence to encourage her audience to admire Negroes and children who are, I know this is long, who are often discriminated against. Okay, so my topic is Harper Lee is utilizing themes of innocence. My position is that she's encouraging me to admire Negroes and children, and my supporting detail would be...
I think the supporting detail is the Negroes and children.
Negroes and children, so this would be the supporting details right here. So I'm going to spend my essay proving that Harper Lee is using themes and rhetoric to shed a good light on children and Negroes to convince me to like them and to convince me to admire them and want to be more like them. Okay? So I took my questions, I fused them into my own question based on what I'm interested in the book, and based it on like a turkey. Yeah. Based on the evidence I have collected, and used that to kind of help me formulate my own question that will drive me through the rest of the essay. So everything else, you should already have your evidence ready to go. Everything else is pretty much just plug and chug. Good? Mm-hmm. All right.